Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. On the agenda tonight, we have Roy Rogers, and this is going to be coming from 2005, actually from his instructional DVD called Slide Guitar for Rock and Blues, and he's going to be playing through walk-in blues. So let's get Roy up on screen and see how he gets on.
Looking around for my shoe. You know by that I got those walking blues. Now, up this morning, people, I'm looking around for my shoes. You know by that I got those walking blues. Now, well, now some people tell me that the word blues ain't bad. They're the ones don't feel it, mama, I most ever had. Some people tell me that the word blues ain't bad. They're the ones don't feel it, mama, I most ever had. Now, let's go.
I'm just going to jump in here because I want to point out a few things that you can maybe have a look at with the rest of the performance when we get back into it, because there's so much going on here technique-wise. So many things here will absolutely fly under the radar if you're not looking out for them, because there is so much that is going on that's so well put together by Roy that you don't really notice how difficult it is, all these subtle little techniques that he's throwing in there. First of all, something to mention that we have got a 12-string resonator here in terms of the resonator guitar, and that is a really rare thing to see just in itself. And the reason that it is so important for this particular performance is because it's really going to fill in all of that space when we analyze the fact that it's just a three-piece. And I do a lot of videos that have featured three-piece bands before, and Roy just fills in the spaces so well underneath his vocal. At the same time, obviously, playing and singing is going to double the difficulty. I always say that, but what you'll find typically in blues is that the players will kind of drop back just to chords when they're singing, and then when they get into their lead sections, they'll then get into that single note playing and then get back into just the chords. Whereas Roy is consistently playing little riffs, little runs all the time throughout his singing as well when he's doing those vocals. So you've got that combination of the vocal phrase but also the timing of the guitar, and those two things don't match up. It's not as if Roy's going to be singing the phrases in exact time with the runs on the guitar. So it is a totally different skill you have to work at in order to now consciously sing and subconsciously play, but still have all of those things going on at the same time. I always say that if you are playing riffs and you're singing at the same time, it really does almost triple the difficulty, because you can't just get into a nice easy strumming pattern with that right hand. Here, of course, you've got really subtle hybrid picking going on as well that you'll just spot now and again, and it's one of those techniques that it's in there in order for all of those notes to pop out at the same time. As you can imagine, when you strum the strings down, it's going to be each string at a time that's going to be coming out, whereas sometimes when you do want a punchy sound, especially in the groove that we've got here with Roy, he's using that hybrid picking to pick with the plectrum, with the pick, and using those fingers at the same time to pick those strings so you get that nice burst of chord when you want it. And the accuracy of Roy's slide playing here is absolutely through the roof, because he's applying the chords with the little solo lines, and he's always going back to those chords, so you're never losing track of where you are throughout this whole piece, because he is staying really strict to getting that rhythm work in there, but then straight away getting into little lead lines. And you'll see when you look out for the speed at which Roy gets to his chord and then gets into a lead line, gets back to his chord again, it's really impressive the speed with which he does it. Obviously it's going to fly under the radar because you just hear that final product, the final arch that we get to listen to. And all of those techniques just really do blend into one. Another thing you'll notice is the fact that Roy's tuned to a D chord here, just open D. So it means that the corresponding chords for your blues will then be A down to G. And that's something to look out for with different slide players, is their application of vibrato, how wide that span is. In terms of the span of the note that they're vibratoing, you can have that really wide, slow vibrato. Some players might have a wide vibrato that's quite fast. Other players will have a smaller span and speed that up. So there's so many different ways to get different expression into these notes. Obviously the faster you vibrato, the more angsty it's going to sound. It's not going to sound as relaxed. Once you start to slow it down, you now start to get a more relaxed sound to your guitar playing, and that's across the board, whether you're playing with fretted notes or whether you're playing slide. And another thing to notice, shout out for the drummer and the bassist here, because in a three-piece, absolutely essential to have that nailed down. And also listen to the bass lines going on. Some really cool runs, some really cool lines. And what you might find is that when you are listening to this, because Roy's playing is busy, there is a lot going on. So there's a lot to take in just with the guitar. And you might find that you don't listen as deeply. You can't listen past that guitar. But once you start listening into that bass, it's so cool to have a listen to some of those runs, but also the drums, the way that it's absolutely spot on, and the drummer and bassist absolutely in the pocket here throughout the whole performance. But getting back into Roy's playing, that busyness is just so melodic that it's not being overplayed, because it would be so easy with the amount that Roy's putting in for it to just get boring after 5 or 10 seconds, because it's just the same thing over and over again. Whereas Roy is so great at throwing in lines that you haven't heard before, always changing every lead line that you're hearing, and always getting back to that rhythm, which just makes it all move forward. He's always just pressing forward with the rhythm, with the groove, and that's why it just keeps it interesting the whole time. But let's watch the video till the end.
My lonesome home, got up this morning, my little girl was gone. I feel like floating, oh, my lonesome home. Well, I got up this morning, all I had was gone.
And what a tight ending as well. Really cool ending to that track. And with the slide, I didn't mention about it being on Roy's little finger, which is absolutely essential for now playing these lines and fretting notes. And just talking about fretting notes, You kind of forget that this is on a 12 string because it's so well played. Again, you're just listening to it, whereas if you don't know about 12 strings, it's 2 strings that are next to each other. So it means that you're holding down 2 strings when you're playing these runs. Roy is picking, hammering on and pulling off 2 strings at a time. Like I said, it will fly under the radar because it's so well played, but one of those things really to factor in. Another thing I want to mention just about that solo that we had in this second half of the video, because rewind it and have a look at the accuracy that Roy is nailing these lead notes and the speed at which he's throwing them together, but also the incidental slides that are absolutely in there, but add so much to that expression. They're so subtle. So if you need any slide work done, Roy's the guy to go to because he's got that ability to have that country twang in there if you want it, just play straight up rock blues. He can change his playing for whatever's required, and that is why he's worked with so many people. In the 1980s, he was playing in John Lee Hooker's band. They were called Coast to Coast, and also he's worked with Linda Ronstadt, and also Bonnie Raitt's in there, Sammy Hagar, and Carlos Santana. So he's done writing as well. He's a record producer at the moment. That's also what he does. So he's got such a wide skill set, but can certainly change his playing for any situation. Whatever you want of him, he'll be able to produce it because he's got that ability. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!